This podcast is brought to you by 2 More Reps Coffee Beans. Get your 2 more reps with this natural pre-workout. Buy your bag at 2morereps.com.au. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Paul's Body Engineering Podcast. All right, so today I've got a very special guest with me. It's taken me a long time to get her on, not through lack of trying, but there's been a few favours called in, a few handshake deals made, a couple of paper bag jobs under the table to make this happen, and that just embarrassed her.
That sounds so dodgy.
But it's been a worthwhile wait because what we're going to talk about today is obviously very relevant, very important, and I reckon can resonate with a lot of people. But first and foremost, I'll introduce her. Now, she's been in the fitness industry for close to 20 years in a number of different capacities. Personal training as one, front of house, management, and even working in supplements as well. And more recently, had the interesting role of working in the Department of Corrections at one of the most notorious prisons in the state, being Woodford Prison. So there's that could be a separate podcast all on its own, I'm sure, with the stories, but we might have to rate that one in terms of what you can and can't say. She's also an incredibly well-respected international posing coach and judge, having joined myself over in India quite a few times now. And on a personal note, she's a very incredible mother and a very understanding and patient wife. And, of course, I'm talking about my beautiful partner, Monique. Welcome.
Oh, well, thanks. That was a bit nice.
That was a bit nice? Well,
Yeah.
well, you know.
I do love the comment of, I have joined you in India.
Yeah.
Bit too on my
Well,
bag.
well, you're my plus one.
No. You're my plus one.
If I'm your plus one, how come I have to work harder over there than you do?
Exactly.
Yeah, see, I got the raw end of the stick in that deal. Jay, if you're listening, I need a bump up. But I thought today we'd obviously talk about goal setting, which is very, very relevant. Look, it's relevant all the time. But I thought first and foremost, let's establish why we're going to talk about goal setting, and that is more recently you've embarked on a very what's the word I'm looking for? A big career change in terms of the space you're going to head towards, the niche you're going to specialise in. You've been studying like a Trojan for, I don't even know how long it's been since you've been studying now. It seems like you're a full-time student.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah, I constantly joke about that. But you're currently doing 3 courses at the moment, aren't you? All of different levels, degree, diploma, and then another course as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so it's pretty full-on. And you're still working part-time too, I might add, because you work for a nutrition academy as well, another point in the fitness industry. So the space you're going to head down is obviously some part goal setting, more so coaching, around the life coaching perspective, self-empowerment, wellness, that sort of area in regards to women primarily. Do you want to elaborate on that just a little bit before we get into the goal setting things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wouldn't say it's that big of a career change because I feel like my role within the fitness industry has very much been in that space to begin with. You know, I first became a personal trainer at the age of 18 and I worked exclusively at a women's only gym.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've very much been involved in that women's empowerment, self-love, self-birth space ever since then. Yeah. Obviously my touch points with the fitness industry, I've come in and I've come out. Every time I think I'm leaving, I'm straight back in again. And we've joked about that. I've had a few times where I've had like you mentioned, working for corrections, I've had a few big career changes and then I've just been pulled straight back into health and fitness.
Yeah.
But I do know that in my heart, that's where I belong and that's where I feel I can add the most value because I do have a lot of lived experience in this world with a lot of the things that, you know, women kind of do struggle with. So I forgot the question. What were you asking me?
In terms of what you're studying and then obviously the intention of where you're going to head with your career.
Yeah. So currently, like you said, I'm overloaded my plate and taken on way too much.
But you know what, like,
do that.
So yeah, well, sorry to interrupt, but that's a really good point because you're really good at time management. That's probably a high skill that you've got, and the fact that you can manage a degree, a diploma, and another course at the same time while still being a mum and working is pretty impressive. So that's obviously a skill that you'll put into this coaching.
Absolutely. And that, when we talk about goal setting, it is about being organized. It is about being on top of what you need to get done. Stuff just doesn't just happen. So obviously studying a degree at the moment, which is a psychology degree. I am currently studying my diploma in counselling. I'm also doing I'm wrapping up a 9-month-long life coaching course.
Yeah. And this is a really highly credible one, isn't it?
It's a very highly credible life coaching course. It's not a weekend course. Like I said, it's taken me about 9 months to do. Very heart-centered, very soul-led, not just, let's say, some affirmations in the mirror and suddenly our life's changed. There's a lot more depth. There's a lot more that comes with it, and I think that's really important. So moving forward, going to pull all my skills together from the health and fitness industry. And, a lot of this too I've learned through posing.
Yeah.
I've been a posing coach now for about 7 years. And so much of my posing coaching is in the self-worth, self-empowerment, babe, you've got this space. So that's why I'm really passionate about this. I feel like this is now a combination of everything finally coming together.
Yeah, okay. That's good to see it like that.
Yeah, like at the age of 37, I'm finally going, this is the space.
Yep. Yeah, because you were sort of getting to a point where you weren't sure. Like there was a few question marks in regards to the direction you were heading. Like you felt this was the right direction, but it's all sort of come together more recently than anything, hasn't it?
Absolutely, and that's, I guess, people will be like, well, why the heck were you working at a correctional centre?
Yeah,
and that's not new. Like it's very much in my family to do so.
Yeah.
I have always been interested in why people do the things they do, and it just felt like a natural. I want a change of pace, and it just felt like a natural way to change that.
But your degree before psychology was criminology.
It was a mix. It was a dual degree of criminology and psychology.
There you go.
The end goal being a prison psychologist.
Yep.
Look, I'll never say never to that.
I know you've certainly got an affinity to it. That's for sure.
But no, I'm definitely more. I feel like my soul's work is with women.
Yep.
And it's in this space, and it's really exciting now to see it all finally kind of pieced together.
Okay, so I suppose getting on to today, and look, we'll probably do a few podcasts in and around this subject, particularly when your business does launch, because it's not officially launched yet. You're very close, aren't you?
Very close.
Yeah, so we'll keep that under wraps. But if anyone is obviously interested in what he's doing, obviously follow her on Instagram primarily at this point in time. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And then more will come about that in due course. But goal setting. So this is what we're going to primarily focus on today. And we're now, 24th of February. Most people at this time of year or even earlier, primarily January, set goals, don't they? They set goals about the year. For some reason, it's got to be at the start of the year. That's probably another discussion. But let's talk about goals that people set and why they fail. Like you've got some stats that you want to sort of put forth, which is I didn't actually realise how high the failure rate was on goal setting. So do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? Let's get into it.
Yeah, so that statement you made, those two questions, they're both loaded. There's an hour in just those two questions.
Yeah.
Why do people set the goals they set and the failure rate of it? And, like you said, most people tend to set these goals around the new year. And when you think about the new year, most people are on holidays.
Yep.
They're enjoying, a few days away maybe. They've got time off. You've got all this time to think about things. Or on the flip side, people set goals because they've just been with their family. Maybe Aunt Mavis just told you you're looking a little bit chubby. So now your New Year's resolution is to lose 10 kilos.
Yeah.
Or, your mother-in-law is nagging you about not buying a house yet, or having children or things like this. So now you're setting goals around that.
Yeah.
So I guess there's two sides to this is, when we come back to the person that's on holidays and they've got all this free time and suddenly they've decided this year they're going to learn salsa dancing.
Yep.
And maybe they're on holidays and they do one lesson. But then next week they're back at work.
Yep.
And, it's a bit chaotic, but you know what? We've still got that one lesson in. Great. Okay.
Tick that box.
We've ticked it.
Yeah.
The next week comes, kids are now getting ready for back to school. School activities start. So it's very easy to set these amazing goals when we're on holidays. Because when you're on holidays and don't have a 9-to-5 commitment, you can achieve anything. There are so many hours in the day.
Yep.
So I guess that's probably the first thing is when it comes to goal setting is making sure that firstly your goals are something that you truly do want to achieve. And then go back to the other scenario, making sure your goals aren't based around society's expectations of you.
Good point.
So making sure that your goals are, heart-centered and is something that you do actually want.
Well, it needs to be, the why, and we speak about why a lot, particularly in obviously where I work, but there needs to be emotion behind it, doesn't there?
100% does. And going back, like you just said, we had some stats, like over 80% of people fail their New Year's resolutions by the start of February.
Isn't that crazy?
So we're 4 weeks into the year, and over 80% have already failed. The stat is that less than 8% will stick it out and see it through.
Wow.
So if we're setting these New Year's resolutions that we really, truly want to achieve, then why is the failure rate so high? And I guess that's when people are setting New Year's resolutions, that's a few questions to ask.
Well, that's true. That's you got to get into the specifics of it. Is the goal too big? Is it unachievable? Is it unrealistic? Or are people just lazy? I like there's so many elements to this discussion, but
well, we can go back to what you just said about goals needing to be emotional.
Yeah.
And, if you've worked in corporate or if you Google goal setting, the first thing you're going to see is set SMART goals. If anyone doesn't know, SMART goals acronym. So what? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, on a realistic, time bound.
Yep.
Whatever it is. And unless you're a type A personality, there's no emotion in that.
No, there's not.
So if we take the whole wanting to lose 10 kilos, it's like, well, that's specific. It's 10 kilos. It's measurable. It's 10 kilos. Is it achievable? Well, let's add a time frame. So I want to lose 10 kilos in 6 months. Well, now it's achievable.
Sure.
There's a time frame there.
Yep.
Time bound. Yeah. So all the things are there. But when we get to, say, March and the weather's starting to cool down a little bit and the sun's staying low longer.
Yep.
And the alarm goes off in the morning and you've got a gym session. Is I want to lose 10 kilos by 6 months going to get you out of bed?
That's right.
Probably not.
No. By nature, we don't like getting up in the dark.
No.
We don't like getting up when it's cold, when it's wet. Yeah, so that's a really good point. So there needs to be more to it, doesn't it? There needs to be something that's going to get you up out of bed.
100%. And, we can use that same example of I want to lose 10 kilos in 6 months to I want to feel the most sexy, the most confident, the strongest, the fastest, the fittest I've ever felt.
Yep.
What's getting you out of bed in the morning? The alarm goes off. You lay there and you say your goal to yourself in your head.
You have that internal battle, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And, if you're committed to feeling your strongest, sexiest, these words need to mean something to you. So saying to someone, a goal to make yourself feel sexy, to me might mean something different to you.
Yep.
So you need to find those words that mean something to you and will help you get out of bed in the morning.
Yep.
Find that emotion. And another way to look at it is people set goals about things and about actions and about doing. So I'm going to run a triathlon, a marathon, 10Ks, lose 10 kilos, whatever it might be. It's like we kind of work backwards. We go, this is the thing, and then I'm just going to do it, and you're just going to figure it out along the way. But if we flip it and go, well, I want to feel strong, I want to feel fast, I want to feel fit. Okay, a person that is strong, fast, and fit, what are their daily habits?
Yep.
What do they do? Work it backwards. And then you start going, okay, these are my action steps. So I need to go to the gym.
Yep.
And I need to learn how to run if I'm not already running. And then go, okay, so a person that is those things, what do they do? Well, they are a triathlete. They are a marathon runner. And we work backwards that way. So flip it. And there's more emotion in that. There's more heart.
Yeah.
And going back to Aunt Mavis, who said you're a bit chubby, 10 kilos might not be the problem.
No, absolutely not.
It might be something else.
Yeah.
This is why feeling into the goal is important.
Yeah.
Find that emotional thing to it. Is it 10 kilos or is it maybe you just need to nourish your body with some better food? Maybe the last 3 months you've just, work's been stressful, so you've been up late binge eating and eating crap food, not looking after yourself.
Or like using that example, time's been poor, so you've just been getting takeaway.
Yeah. So maybe it isn't 10 kilos.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just you just need to just tidy a few things up to make yourself feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So the biggest objection I get, and I've talked about this a lot, is time. Okay, so this is obviously going to be a rebuttal that like if you're in your coaching chair, you've got a new client and talking about goal setting, and they said, look, I just don't have time. You know, I'm a mum, I'm a wife, I work part-time, which I've just basically described you anyway. But so, you know, how do we establish time? What's the way to break that down so that they can then realise, hang on a second, I can achieve this because I need to do X, Y, and Z?
There's a few things in this.
Yep.
So I don't have time. I want you, like, if people are listening to this and want to do some things, like, if you're saying to yourself, I don't have time, it's a good chance for you to take check of yourself. So I don't have time is, if you repeat that to yourself, but change the words to, I am not a priority, how's it going to feel in your body?
There you go.
For most people, that's going to feel yuck.
Mm.
If you do not make yourself a priority in your life, I can tell you right now, no one else is going to. No one. As much as you want someone else to make you a priority, they're not going to.
Yep.
Because we're all here for our own life.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
And that's not selfish. That is not egotistical. It is what it is.
Mm.
There's a reason why when you're on the plane and they tell you, in case we go down, fit your own oxygen mask first before helping others.
Good example. Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not fit, healthy, and you know what, if you're not happy, let's just put fit and healthy aside for a moment. If you're not happy and you are a wife and a mother, how's your household?
Good point.
I know myself, the times when I've been down, my children have been a freaking pain in the ass. Because my son, I love him so much, but he is the biggest projector of my energy.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm feeling, he is going to throw it right back at me.
Yep.
And he does it every time.
Yep.
So I don't have time. Okay. I am not a priority in my life. If that sucks, change it. Make yourself a priority because no one else is going to.
Absolutely.
You need to be a priority in your life. You deserve all the things you want in life.
Yeah.
And I'm not being stupid saying you deserve $100 million. Like, bring it back, be more realistic here. But you do deserve to have the life that you want. And only you can do it.
Only you can do it. That's exactly right.
Only you can do it. You can hire any coach. You can hire a life coach, a personal trainer, a nutritionist. You can hire the most amazing team of people around you.
Yep.
But they can't do the work.
Nope.
You can listen to all the podcasts, read all the books.
That's a good point because, you know, you can, like you said, you can, you know, I have this conversation often. You can work with someone relentlessly, but until they actually implement change, they implement the process, they implement the advice you're giving them, there's no magic happening here.
There is no magic.
No.
There is no magic. And going back to the I don't have time, if someone, and like I can say I have days where I go, oh my God, I just don't have time today. That's why checking my schedule first thing in the morning is important for me. I have a diary. I block out my day. I block out sections on my day because I need to.
Yep.
So I start at the start of the week. I'll put in all my non-negotiables. So non-negotiables work.
Yep.
Children being taken to and from school. Children's sports and activities. The things that I have to do. You'll be surprised how much white space you can find in your diary. Like, people will say, like, you know, the whole check your screen time on your phone, and they're doing 3, 4, 5 hours a day. Like, I heard someone the other day was doing 10.5 hours a day and they didn't have time. Almost.
I remember you telling me that. That's so excessive.
There was so much. And yes, some of it was productive time, but majority of it wasn't.
No.
But then the excuse was that, well, that's my downtime. And so, well, that's fine. But what's more important to you right now? Those scrolling on hours of end as your downtime, relaxed time, or the goals you're trying to achieve. Because I'm sure if we fit the goals you're trying to achieve in your diary somewhere, you're still going to have that downtime.
Absolutely.
You may also find that you don't need those 3 hours of downtime because you're more pumped about life. You know, like I heard you say the other day, you know, kinetic energy.
Yeah.
Energy creates more energy.
It does.
So you may find that the reverse happens. So, you know, take stock of your day. And if you don't like scheduling, because a lot of people go, oh, I hate schedules, I hate diaries. Like, yes, but you know what? If you want to make changes and you want to find time in your life, suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah.
And just do it.
Unfortunately, change is not always everyone's cup of tea, but it's something you have to embrace.
Absolutely. And you know what? You might find that you can do it for a week.
Yep.
And then suddenly you go, oh, okay, I get it.
Mm.
I don't need to do this every week. Or you may find, oh, this actually makes my life so much easier.
Yep.
And for me, that's my situation is I would be full of anxiety
Yeah.
and so stressed if I didn't have everything written down. I do not know how busy mums stay on top of everything without having things written down and in a diary or planned or your phone. You don't have to physically write it down. We have phones.
Yeah.
Almost every person has a smartphone these days.
That's right.
There's so many ways around that.
Let's bring in a real world experience for a second and talk about the way we schedule, or predominantly you schedule, because I sort of tail coded. Like we're sitting here in our living room or dining room at the moment, but our office area has a calendar on the wall.
Correct.
We both have a work diary / schedule on our desk.
Correct.
We both got obviously our smartphones where we have a shared calendar for kids' movements and other, family commitments and stuff like that.
Yep.
Then we've got individual study calendars as well.
Yep.
I've obviously got my client calendar as well,
which I have too.
Which you have too. You've got one as well for posing. So we run multiple calendars, but people might say, well, that's a bit excessive, but it works for us.
It works amazing, and I think the statement you just made there, it works for us.
Yeah.
So it really is about finding what works for you.
Absolutely.
Now, the calendar on the wall is amazing because the kids can see it.
They always reference it too.
They always look at it.
Yep.
And for anyone that doesn't realize, we do have 3 teenage kids.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
Our children are from previous marriages, so they do come and go a lot.
Yes.
They're very active kids.
Yes.
There's always stuff going on. So for them it's also important for them to see where they're at.
Mm.
Big trips are on that calendar. There's lots of things on that, and it's a great visual because it's in the center of our home. Absolutely.
And we've got 2 teenage girls and the young fella's 12, about to turn 13. I don't know if you want to elaborate on his specifics, but having those visuals assists all of them on a number of different levels, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So the girls are very academic, and they're going to thrive in any environment that they're put into. But Sax, he does struggle. He has dyslexia, and at times I've wondered whether he had ADD, and he was for a period of time on medication, which he's no longer anymore. But this may be something that has to come on and off again. But we're trying a more natural approach these days. So the visuals are super important.
Yeah.
Because a child that struggles to read and then add on dyslexia, he needs the visuals.
And we've got over on the other wall over there, he's got a list to follow in regards to getting ready in the morning, and I still see him referencing that now. And that was a list you created, 5 years ago, man?
I did that list when he was in prep.
There you go.
So it's a list basically that says in the morning, these are the things you need to do.
Yeah.
But it's not just a list. It's actually got pictures next to it.
Yep.
So brush your teeth has a picture of brushing your teeth. Brush your hair has a picture of brushing your hair. And that's really important for him. And you're right, he does. He's in grade 8 now, and he still will look at that list every morning.
Yep.
And anyone that, is this way inclined will probably agree that, yes, that kind of thing is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the diaries, obviously individually and professionally, and we do have it on our phones. Now, our phones are also linked with the girls' phones.
Yes.
And Sax does have it on his iPad because he doesn't have a phone yet. But within that, everything is also color-coded as well.
Yep.
So we've tried to make it super easy and, it's super important. But if we take it back from being about the family and bring it back now to the personal level, like you just said, we both have our own personal. And I have a personal diary / journal, and it does have on one side 5 a.m. in the morning till 10 p.m. at night. And every morning I sit down and I do block out my day. So my non-negotiable things, they're always in my phone. I transfer it over.
Yep.
And I find white space.
Yep.
I find the white space that I can do what I need to do. My morning routine is important to me. It doesn't happen perfect every day because some days we have to leave home at 6 a.m. to get to netball practice.
Yeah.
I don't have time to sit outside and meditate and do breath work and do my journal. But I do open it. I do look at my day and I find my white space. Okay, I need to find time for this. I do it. Because otherwise it's like, oh, I don't have time today, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow comes, I don't have time, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I don't. And before you know it.
Yeah, you've developed a routine without actually trying or just a habit.
Like if you don't, let's bring it back to health and fitness. If I don't schedule my workouts at the start of the week, I'm scrambling. I'm at the gym Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
When I could be doing other things in my family. Or worse still, if I don't schedule my workouts at the start of the week, push it back, and I don't finish my week's training.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore, but it could easily happen if you don't schedule and plan it.
Absolutely. But even, talking about your morning routine. You know, you can get to a point where if you're not structured enough, or just at least have that white space in the morning that you've spoken about more often than not, the feeling of overwhelmingness and feeling rushed, which will then develop anxiety, you know, that's not the way you want to wake up and start your day.
It is not the way.
No.
And I do know some people that will check their schedule before they go to bed.
Yeah.
So then they wake up, they feel like they're ahead of the day,
Yep.
and they know what's coming. For me, I find that sometimes when I do that, it does create that bit of anxiety about it's a big day.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I've looked at my day and I've ticked everything off and I'm across it, I'm happy to go to bed and not look at tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
because I know I've got enough time in the morning
Yep.
to look at it tomorrow.
Yep.
So you know what? That's another option. Some people may find that sitting down the night before and doing it,
Mm-hmm.
because the mornings can be rushed.
Yeah.
So time, it can be a reason. It's not an excuse.
No, it's not an excuse. That's right. And you know, I've spoken about this so many times. If you're sacrificing your time for others, or for your job, or for anything other than you, and you're not the priority, then your health is going to decline potentially because of that.
If you're someone that's constantly doing that, I would recommend you sit back and take reflection upon, are you people pleasing?
Mm.
And how are your boundaries?
Yeah.
So this is something a lot of mums in particular really struggle with.
Yep.
You know, you become employee of the month because they're bending you backwards and you're doing everything.
Yeah, the goalposts keep getting moved.
Yeah. You know, your boundaries, like if you prioritize yourself and you're prioritizing your workout, no one should shift that.
Mm.
Unless it's an emergency. Like,
yeah, there's circumstances that obviously, yeah, of course.
But if, you know, someone calls you up and says, I need your help to help me move this fridge, and you've got your gym session planned in. No, babe, you're going to the gym.
Mm.
I'm sorry, I can come by later.
That's it.
People need, like, boundaries. We need to learn to say no and put ourselves first.
Absolutely. Very good advice. So going back to the goal setting, I guess, scenario,
Yeah.
you know, everyone's goals are going to be different. They're big goals,
Absolutely.
small goals. So how do you tackle a bigger goal? So a 6-month, 12-month goal in regards to not falling off the cliff when it becomes too hard or it's too overwhelming. You know, are we talking, you know, creating lists, you know, achieving small milestones to get to the big one? You know, what's the overarching premise around how you would tackle something like that so you can achieve it and you're not just effectively wasting time?
So this is going to be different for every type of goal.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
You've got a health and fitness related goal, whether you've got a creativity related goal, whether you've got political aspirations, you know, whatever it might be. Like
well, you're running for office.
Everyone's goals are going to be slightly different. The key with this though is there's two major components. One, making sure that your goal actually aligns with your values.
Yeah, good point.
As a person, your core values. If this goal does not align with you as a person and your core values, you're not going to see it through.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly is understanding why this is important.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the feelings. This goes back to the emotions. So when I talk about goal setting, I like to think about, okay, how do you want to feel? Because sometimes, you know, you can set this big, amazing goal, achieve it, get it, and then go,
it's underwhelming.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I thought my life would be completely different.
Yeah.
No one else is clapping for me.
Nothing's changing. Yeah.
Right? So take away the focus on the thing as such and bring the emotion, the focus back to the feelings. So yeah, know your why. Make sure it's aligned with your core values. And make sure there's a feeling and emotion attached to that goal so that when you do get to it, you can celebrate the win. Now, if it's a big goal is so overwhelming.
Yeah.
You do need those little milestones along the way. And celebrate those little milestones. If you're someone who hasn't been to a gym before, you going one day a week is fucking awesome.
Yep.
Celebrate that.
Absolutely.
If you now meal prepping your food is something you've never done before and you really want to do and now you're doing it, celebrate that. And I don't mean celebrate with food. You're not a dog that needs treats. But celebrate your wins.
Yeah.
And I guess this comes back to, you know, the feeling of it and being, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but celebrate your accomplishments, celebrate your wins along the way.
Yeah.
It drives momentum.
Of course it does.
Because you can't rely on motivation every day to get you to your goal.
No, you can't.
No, motivation comes and goes. But the thing that does help with motivation is consistent action.
Yeah. Well, it comes out of discipline, doesn't it?
It comes from discipline.
Yeah. If you set those habits in place and consistently hit them, action them. It's like the example I use often, which I think I heard from a podcast. You brush your teeth every day, right?
Correct.
We've done that since we had teeth.
Yeah.
Why? Why do we do that? Because it's a habit we've created. It's
Yeah.
a habit that was instilled in us from our parents because we want to keep our teeth healthy.
Yeah.
So why don't we implement that same strategy around some of the other facets of life?
And that's some of the goals too. So depending on what goals you're setting, you can create action steps or action steps that now become habits in your day.
Yep.
Habits in your week, things that you just instinctively now do. But this takes time.
Yeah.
It doesn't, say it used to say like 21 days to create a habit. I just don't think that's.
No, I don't know where that came from.
But it is absolutely much longer than that.
Yeah.
It is much longer than that. You need to be doing something like repetition for it to become a habit.
Yep.
So yeah, it's obviously very goal dependent, depending on what you're wanting to achieve here.
Absolutely. You're using the gym as an example, going to the gym 1 day a week, committing to that goal, doing the non-negotiable like you said, and then when you get comfortable, you'll develop confidence.
Yes.
And when that confidence comes, then you can potentially double that time and make it 2 days and 3 days. And within 6 months, you might be going 4 days. Who knows?
Exactly. And I think too, with that, like you just said, confidence, that's a big driver here.
Yeah.
A lot of time people are afraid of their goals, and that's a good way to be. You don't want your goals to be so average that they're not inspiring. Having a bit of fear around your goals is fine as long as you take the steps.
Yeah.
And having that confidence and going to the gym, well, I get it. I've been there.
Yeah.
Where going to the gym terrifies you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go once, then you go twice. Before you know it, being 10 times. The receptionists smile at you now because they recognize
They know you, yeah.
You'll find that each time you go, it gets easier.
Yep.
And you know what? If you have setbacks, it's okay. If you get a punctured tire, don't slash the other 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you do have setbacks, it's okay.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to be a beginner in this. Allow yourself to be learning. If you have a setback, literally sit back and go, what's the lesson here? What's happened?
Yeah, don't let it overwhelm you or frustrate you or, sit in it for a moment, acknowledge it, and don't let it derail you.
Don't let it derail you. I hate the derail thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, say for example, you're with the example we used earlier about 10 kilos. Part of you wanting to lose 10 kilos is that you do need to go to the gym. You're going to the gym 3 days a week and you're killing it for about 6 weeks. And then you have a week where you don't even go once. A lot of people would get very down the dumps about that. Then the next week, they're going to struggle to get back into rhythm to go again because they're going to be unmotivated because they've probably had a pity party for the week because they've been sick, their child's been sick, who knows, another pandemic, let's hope not, whatever reason.
Yeah.
Sit back and go, why didn't this happen this week?
Yeah.
If you had a sick child, well, that's your priority right now.
Yeah.
Right now, yes, we're telling you to make yourself the priority, but if you have a child that's sick, they need to become your priority right now.
Of course.
Priorities can change. So setbacks don't mean you fail. Setbacks are a lesson to learn from to move forward.
Absolutely. That's a good point too because, you have a week off the gym. You're not losing gains, and I say that in apostrophe. You're not losing the work you've done to that point. You might have the week off and you might pull up a little bit sore when you return.
Yeah.
But don't let that dishearten you. Use that as a challenge. Keep going. Absolutely. Keep going. Create that momentum. Build from it.
Yeah. I think something we haven't touched on yet either with goals is obviously if we bring it back to the health and fitness world, because most of your listeners are going to be in that space.
Yeah.
Coming back to making sure that your goals are something that you emotionally can connect to. Something that actually means something to you. Now, you don't have to do this alone. So a lot of people set these big goals. Example, use 10 kilos because that's a very common goal at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And then they try and do it themselves. They may, go to the shops and buy the latest diet book, and they're going to follow that diet book. They may jump online and order, some weight loss shakes or something like that because they think that that's how they have to get to this goal. Don't be afraid to have a team of people around you.
Yeah, I like this.
And I coined this the dream team, dream being your goals. Like, who is your dream team? who is in your corner helping you through this.
Mm.
Because you want to, if your goals, like the 10 kilo thing, we all know fad diets don't work.
Yes.
Like, we all know this. Yet, those books fly off the shelves at the start of every year.
Yep.
But we know they don't work, so why are we doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Enlist the team around you, whether that be your partner that's going to help you keep you accountable. Just be careful there, because that can sometimes cause friction.
Yes.
Whether it's your best friend, someone that you trust, someone that you love, who is going to have your back. But outside of that, get a personal trainer, get a nutritionist, have a physio, have people in your corner, create yourself a dream team that is going to help keep you accountable and help you in motion, help you moving forward. Now, if you another resistance could be, I can't afford that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
That's fine. There is so much good information on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many great podcasts. Like, there's this one.
Ding ding.
But you know what I mean? There's so much free information out there.
There is.
If it's fad, forget it.
Yeah. But no, you're right. There's a lot of physio content. There's a lot of nutritional content. And it's free.
It's free.
It's free. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Just make sure it's credible.
Yeah, absolutely. So do your research, but self-development doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg.
No.
It can be done quite cost-effective, but think of the outcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even if you're at a gym, a lot of gyms have PTs there.
Absolutely.
Who are happy to do random sessions.
Yep.
You don't have to have a session every week. You can enlist them for one session to write you a program, talk to you about nutrition, and then not see them again for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
There's no harm in doing that.
No, not at all. It's just a touch point, a little bit of accountability. Yeah. Absolutely.
And you know what? There's also so many apps. There's plenty of great apps that can help you with your fitness.
100%.
So creating your dream team doesn't have to be something that now is overwhelming again and costly. But then on the flip side, if you're like, no, this is actually a goal that's really, really important to me and I do really, really want to achieve this, financially it's tight, what can you do to assist that?
Absolutely. Because it's an investment, and that's how you have to see it, yeah.
100%.
We are going to have, and I'm getting off topic here a little bit, we're going to have a major issue in 20, 30, 40 years' time of a large portion of the population breaking down because they haven't looked after themselves now.
The sad thing is that this is the first time in history where there are more overweight, obese people than there are healthy weight people.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
It is scary because, those being classified, and I know we don't all love BMI and that's fine, but BMI is a great way to look at someone's potential risk for heart disease.
Yeah.
And potential risk for lifestyle diseases.
Yeah.
And if the majority of the population is on that other side of that scale, that's scary to think where we're going.
Yep.
Our medical system is going to be incredibly overwhelmed.
Yep.
Our aged care facilities.
Well, they're overwhelmed now.
I had a friend that was working in aged care for a little while and left because she hurt her back, simply because she had to try and lift so many overweight people.
Yeah.
So things like this. So bringing it back to health and fitness, you don't want to be in that position.
No, you don't.
So find a way to make this work for you.
Yeah.
If, you're buying takeaway once a week and takeaway is your thing and it's your reward for a great week, I get that. But maybe you can make it once a fortnight. Doesn't have to be every week. And then that money that you'd normally spend on takeaway could go somewhere else. It could go to a PT, maybe once a fortnight.
It could go to a life coach.
It could go. There is so many.
But sometimes, I know I laugh about that because obviously that's sort of the direction you're heading. But sometimes you need to hear that from someone who's impartial as well.
100%.
You have the conversation with your partner. I think we bounce off each other really well. But and I was going to bring up the example of me having a meltdown over my uni the other night, but we might talk about that in a second. But when you talk to someone who's impartial, you're more, and kids do this too all the time. They roll their eyes at their parents, but then when someone who they don't know really well says, no, you have to do it this way, they kind of go, oh. And adults are exactly the same. They will tend to take more credibility from someone that they don't know who is still holding a position of power or a credible authority. So that's why, doing a one-off with a PT or seeking out a life coach and doing a consult or a physio or, a psychologist or whatever the case may be is quite beneficial.
Absolutely it is. And I have this happen with you all the time.
Oh, here we go. Go on.
You opened the can.
Yeah, I did. I know. That's fine. I'm happy to,
But it is true though, because I know so many times where I've told you something and then you'll come back to me a month, 2 months later and go, did you know?
Yeah.
Or, my coach said, and I'll stand there dumbfounded because I'm like, I actually said that to you in pretty much those exact words. And sometimes you do. You just don't quite take it on when it's someone that close to you.
Exactly.
And as you said, kids 100% are this.
Yep.
So find those people, build your dream team. And you know what? Right now, when you're setting your goals around whatever they might be, you know, you want to run a like I keep saying run a triathlon. You do more than just run.
Run, bike, swim. Run a marathon.
Participate.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Participate in the triathlon. And you might be like, you know what? I do need a swimming coach, but right now it's not going to work. That's fine.
Yeah.
Write them down on a piece of paper, their name, research it. Who are you going to get and employ when the time is right?
Yep.
Have it ready. Because here's another fun stat for you. When you write down your goals, you're 70% more likely to achieve them.
Wow, that's powerful.
That is huge.
Yeah.
So what are your goals? Write them down. Find the feelings, write them down. Who's your dream team with your goals? Write them down.
I love that.
You know, you might not be able to work with that person right now. It may be out of your budget, but you know what? Write it down. Okay, this is what I want to achieve. This is how I want to feel. These are people I want to work with. How do I make it happen?
Yep.
Action steps. What do I need to do? And this is where we can go back to those SMART goals, which the SMART acronym is great, but it's not the first thing.
No, it's
not. It comes now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start with this. These are my action steps. I'm going here. Lay it all out. Map it out. You know what? Once you've mapped it out, stick it up on your bathroom mirror.
Yeah.
Put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day.
All the time. On the fridge, on the bathroom mirror, on the computer desk.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
And map it out. Make a roadmap. This is how it looks.
Yep.
Because one thing is to think it in your head, and it's one thing when you wake up in the morning and just think about it. It's one thing to see it.
Yeah.
Write it down, see it. And this is another thing with goals is vision boards. Vision boards get a big that's so woo-woo.
It's woo-woo, yeah.
Whatever. But if you have a goal and you're visually seeing it every day, how much more likely do you think you're going to make better choices that day?
Well, 70% by the sounds of things.
You're going to make better choices that day because that goal is that constant reminder of that goal in your face every day.
Yeah.
Right? And don't do this, but this is hilarious. I did see on a good old Facebook reel one day, a woman, I think she might have been American because of the accent, and she went to her fridge and the veggie crisper, she had a really sexy lacy G-string, and in the freezer where the ice cream was, she had a massive pair of granny undies. So that was her visual reminder.
Well, there you go.
Every time she went for the ice cream, she saw these big granny undies, and then she'd go back to the fruit and veggies, and there's a sexy little G-string. Not to say you can't have ice cream, but clearly ice cream was probably a problem for her in her life.
There you go.
And that's what she chose to do as a way to remind herself of her goals.
Okay. I need to put some, I don't have that type of underwear, so I don't know.
I don't think you have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But seriously though, that was just her daily reminder of this is my goal, this is what I'm wanting to achieve.
You've got to do what works for you, right? And clearly that works for her. Yes, it's funny, and obviously it probably went viral or whatever. But
it really did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it evoked emotion in her.
There you go.
It was a visual and it was emotional.
And it was a reminder, constant reminder, because how often do you open the fridge? Heaps. That's a good tip.
I love it. I think it's fabulous.
There you go.
Find what works for you.
Yeah, maybe we need to be sponsored by like Playboy or Bonds or something after that. Well, because all the females that listen to this now are going to go and buy G-strings to put in their fridge.
I don't think they're going to. Like, it's a health and fitness podcast. I think most people that listen to this are pretty well across that.
Yeah, probably. Oh, very good.
But no, it is. That's the thing. So just find the emotion in it.
Yeah.
Visualize as best you can.
Yeah. How relevant or how important do you think is it to have the support of your partner? And I'm getting off topic here a little bit, but when you obviously want to achieve specific goals and you're in a relationship, we've seen it firsthand how, particularly speaking on a bodybuilding perspective, often the partner doesn't support them 100%, and it can really cause a lot of friction, a lot of tension, and then that person may not even achieve that goal because of that stress. So, what am I trying to ask? Back to my original question, how important is it that they come along for the ride, particularly if your goal is long term?
You can't control what someone else does.
There you go. Okay. I wasn't expecting that answer, but fair enough.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't control what someone else says. You cannot control whether they support you or not. And I legit had this conversation with a client this morning.
Did you really?
Yep.
There you go.
So she's currently undertaking a comp prep.
Yeah.
Her partner was a very successful football player.
Right.
She went to all the games, kids in tow, did all the things. He hates that she's bodybuilding.
Really? Wow.
She's a sports model.
Yeah, okay.
It's not like she's a female bodybuilder on the steroids.
Yeah,
She's a sports model. She looks incredible.
Yeah.
He hates her.
Wow.
He doesn't support it.
Yeah, okay.
So she has a choice.
Yeah.
She does it anyway.
Yep.
Or she doesn't.
And at the moment she's doing it.
At the moment she's doing it.
Mm.
And she's told him, this is what I want to do.
Mm.
This is important to me.
Yeah.
I have done all the years supporting you.
Yeah. Well, as a footballer, it could have been 10 years. Like, you know, they can span a 10-year career.
Yeah. She's like, I've been a mum. I've been a wife.
Mm.
This is for me now.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm doing it.
Yeah, okay.
And at the end of the day, like when you're achieving your goals, it's going to happen.
Mm.
You're going to have friends. You're going to have family who don't like what you're doing.
The friends and the family thing.
Especially in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with your partner not liking it.
Mm.
The flip side of that is, if you have a partner at home who is your biggest cheerleader, loves you, supports you, and doesn't care what you're doing and is always clapping at the sidelines, you're fucking lucky. Appreciate the shit out of that person.
So does that mean you're lucky?
But seriously, appreciate that person for doing that. But you can't control the other person.
No, you can't.
And that's the thing. Like, we've seen it in bodybuilding. We've seen couples end up divorced.
Yep. I know.
And it's sad.
Or friendship circles decrease in size because of it, yeah.
And it's sad. But here's the choice.
Yeah.
You progress, you make goals and achieve them, and you move forward in your life, or you stay stagnant.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to just be bodybuilding. It could be anything.
Oh, it's anything. It's absolutely anything.
You know, career change. It could be anything.
Travel.
You have to decide, if this person's not coming along with me, am I going to keep going or am I going to stay back with them?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I heard someone once make the analogy of this scenario. Imagine you're on a motorbike and you're cruising down the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So doubling. So you're riding, you're in charge because you're the goal setter, you're going.
Yep.
Your partner's on the back. You're cruising down the highway. You're good. The roads get windy.
Mm.
How windy they get? Is your partner going to fall off the back, or are they holding on? And sometimes that can happen. Your partner's fallen off the back of the motorbike.
Yeah, true.
And you've kept going.
That's what happened to us in Bali.
It is what happened to us in Bali. However, we stayed married.
Yeah, we did stay married. That's true.
But it's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to be okay with that.
Mm. Absolutely.
Is your deepest, wildest dreams worth sacrificing for your partner?
What's life without dreams, right? You've got to at least have a crack at pursuing them.
And
otherwise, you end up wondering what if.
And on the flip side, I know someone who's set some ridiculously crazy goals who their partner did not support at the start because, no, we can't afford that. No, we can't afford that. You can't change your job because we can't take a pay cut. No, you can't afford that. Guess what? Now they're 110% on board, and they're freaking thankful that their partner had the balls to do it.
There you go.
So sometimes your partner, even though at the start they're resistant, they will see what's changed.
Well, it's scary. Change is scary, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Not everyone likes change.
No.
And they may come along for the ride.
Mm.
So having a supportive partner at home, if you have that, you're so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing. But you cannot change someone else's opinion and views on it. If you live your best life, you just hope for the best that they come with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they don't, as sad as it is, maybe someone else is out there waiting for you.
Mm. True.
Like, we're both married and divorced.
We are, absolutely. And better off because of it, too.
Better off because of it.
Significantly better off, in my opinion.
So, as sad and scary as it is, it's life sometimes.
It is life.
You have to, if you want your dream and you want this, it goes back to putting you as a priority again, doesn't it?
That's right. We might finish up on that. That was a good point to sort of full stop on.
I feel like that was a bit like Debbie Downer.
No, it was good. Like but it's honest. That's the truth of the matter. And sometimes we tend to bury our head in the sand in regards to some of this stuff. We hope that things just get better. We hope that change occurs without implementing anything. We hope that we lose 10 kilos without actually trying, and having a magic shake or whatever. Like, you got to not put your head in the sand, and you've actually got to face these things head on, haven't you? It's the only way to make it happen.
Yeah. You can't just talk yourself into it.
No.
Got to actually take some
You've
action.
got to take some steps. You've got to get advice. You've got to do development, self-development, professional development, whatever the goal is. You have to further your own existence to better your own life.
And whatever your goal is, don't expect that you should know how to do it.
No, that's
It's the
exactly
reason
right.
why you haven't achieved it.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you haven't achieved it, find people that can help you achieve it.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's it.
You know, and make things your habits. You know, we are what we repeatedly do.
Yeah, agreed. That's a really good statement.
Mm.
Cool. All right. Well, given that it's technically not the first time you've been on the podcast, but first time as a one-on-one guest, as a solo, I'll obviously ask you the common question I ask all guests, and that is, and who is it that you would like to have over for dinner? Now, I asked you this midweek, and you said, "No, I'm going in fresh. I'm going to think about it on the spot." So you're under the pump now.
Yeah.
So who would you like? And you can have a couple if you want. Male, female, life, dead, fictional, non-fictional. Like, I opened it right up, and I've had some really interesting answers over the years.
Well, mine are probably going to be pretty boring. But no, I obviously knew that you were going to ask me this question.
Yeah, well, I expect so.
And I didn't think about it.
Mm.
Did not want to think about it. And to be honest, I completely forgot about it.
Well prepared.
And now I've got anxiety.
Ah.
No. I feel like, and you know, like you said before, I'll be back on this podcast again. And I feel like this is definitely probably a question that the answer is going to change every time.
100%.
And I feel like there's two ways I want to take this.
Okay.
So I'm going to have two dinner parties.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I hope I'm invited.
Well, yeah, you're invited.
Like, you had to think about that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
You come everywhere. Like, it'll be you and Tyson. You'll both be there. If anyone doesn't know, Tyson is our dog, and he is like my fourth child.
He has separation anxiety.
He has separation anxiety and follows me everywhere.
Mm.
So two parties. So one, and we didn't touch on this at all today, and you know, I don't know whether there's something in this for future podcast or whether this is something we'll just leave alone. I would love to have dinner with both my grandmothers.
Oh, okay.
Because my dad was raised by his stepfather and his stepfather's new wife for the majority of his life. And then my mum's mum came to Australia and left an entire family behind. 3 children, the whole works, and no one knew about it until she passed. My family has a lot of generational trauma and a lot of really heavy stuff. And I would love to just have both my grandmothers down at a table and just be like, what up?
You might need more than a dinner party for that, I think, knowing the history I know.
Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Tell me your story.
Yeah, wow.
Just tell me your story. How did we get here?
Yeah.
Because my sister and I feel we're doing a pretty good job of the generational trauma stops with us. And we only know parts.
Yeah, don't know everything.
It's very triggering.
There's a lot of holes.
There's a lot of holes, and it's very triggering for our parents. And I don't want to sit down my parents and go, so tell me. You know, so I would just love to skip my parents and get my grandparents to be like, what? But finishing on a more positive note. So from a more professional development, a goal setting point of view, I love listening to podcasts.
Yes.
And I have a handful of favorites. And I actually think I'd love to have a dinner party with some of my favorite podcast hosts and authors. So firstly, anyone that enjoys talking about these goals and values and self-worth, self-love, all this type of stuff, Brene Brown, 100% she's coming. If you don't know who that is, go Google her right now. She's incredible. She's a researcher and she's a social worker and a researcher and does a lot of work around empathy and courage and vulnerability and all that type of stuff. So I'd have her. I would have Jay Shetty.
Yeah.
Because I think his journey from being a lost college student to then becoming a monk is just insane. I would love to pick his brain around that.
Yeah.
And then coming out of that, and then his success in the last 7 years is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Like, where he's been from here is just mind-blowing. I think that's amazing. I'd love to have him. Aubrey Marcus, I think, is phenomenal. He does if you don't know him, he's definitely much more woo-woo. He's interviewed some incredible people, and I'd love just to pick his brain. So I wouldn't have to have all the people he's interviewed. I just have him.
Yep.
And just pick his brain around a lot of psychology.
It's like podcasters of the stars.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Be great. Now I'd have you there, obviously.
Oh, yeah, cool. Thank you.
I think you could learn a lot.
Yeah.
But no, and this is going to change every time.
Yeah, I can imagine it would.
Like in my head, I'm thinking Dalai Lama, Tony Robbins, but no, we'll leave
I thought you were going to
aside.
see Stephen Bartlett as well.
I literally was about to,
Yeah.
and then I thought I probably said way too many. Because I do think he's fabulous, but I think there's a little bit more depth than some of those others.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Good answer. Oh, well, there you go. If anyone's interested in doing a little bit of professional development and listening to some pretty valuable, amazing, and educational podcasts, look up those guys, Aubrey Marcus, Stephen Bartlett,
Just send me a message
Jay
and ask
Shetty.
me.
Yeah, talk to Moni. Reach her out to Moni. She'll happily answer it. So before we wind up, so going back just to your future endeavours in the career that you're about to pursue, obviously we won't put a timeline on it because that'll put you under unnecessary pressure, but it's going to talk to me just quickly about the areas of specialty. You're going to focus primarily working with women, yes?
Correct. So working with women, the whole idea is, it's around women with self-worth, body confidence. If you're finding that you've got insecurities that are holding you back from achieving your goals, that's the world I want to live in.
Yep.
So just very quickly, I've been through a divorce, I've been through postnatal depression, I've been through injury where I've gained a lot of weight. I've been a bikini model who then got injured and suddenly wasn't a bikini model anymore. Like, I've been through all those identity shifts, and I understand what trauma and I understand what these insecurities can do to you and how they can hold you back from living your life. I really believe that when you're healed, now it's your chance to heal others.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. That's where I am now.
Love it.
So I'm in that space. Also, being that I'm health and fitness posing coach and everyone knows me from that world, I've always seen, I shouldn't say always, but I have seen a lot of women struggle post-comp with who they are now. I've seen them struggle post-comp with food focus, and that is also another area that I'm heading into. So obviously the psychology at uni, the diploma of counselling, my life coaching course. I also studied a undergrad certificate of health and lifestyle coaching through Endeavour College of Natural Medicine.
Yep.
And I'm adding into that also another qualification, which I'm about to start. So there's another one.
Yep.
About food and your relationship to food.
Yep.
And that will then also form a big part of what I do.
Yeah.
So bodybuilding world, female specific, food focus, like image, all that type of thing. And then also wider community, general pop women.
Yep.
Mothers, people who are feeling a bit lost, their weight's holding them back, body positivity, self-worth, all the things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pull it all together in a nice tight bow. And, I'm not currently practicing yet. It's on its way. But if you're someone that is wanting to reach out and have a chat, please reach out.
There you go. Doors open.
Doors open.
Yep.
Probably end of March, my office door should be open.
There you go.
But honestly, reach out now. Let's have a chat. I'm happy to, help you out as best I can.
Yeah. It is exciting because, we've spoken about this off air a lot in regards to the whole coaching industry and coaching space, life coaching space. It's very saturated, it's very convoluted, it's very confusing. A lot of people do a short course and then all of a sudden they're a coach charging $5,000 a day or whatever. It can be quite ridiculous, but you're going to be approaching it in a totally different way. You're coming from it with a lot of life experience as well as a lot of qualifications and education that you've put a lot of time and effort into. I've seen this firsthand.
Yeah.
And you're obviously going to be approachable, affordable. It's going to be very realistic for people to reach out and work with you.
100%. I to be honest, I probably should have had this up and running sooner, but I did have some things to work through because during the COVID pandemic, suddenly all these people were becoming life coaches.
Yep.
And it did trigger me in the sense that they were doing weekend courses or 5-day courses and teaching NLP, and NLP is a phenomenal practice, don't get me wrong. But they were teaching that. And then suddenly they're a life coach and suddenly now it's $5,000 to work with them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that is so out of that is just so, what do you mean?
It's unfair. That's what it is. It's unfair. It's not realistic.
It's the person that I want to help. Me saying I need $5,000 up front, it's going to be a no.
No, not when the cost of living is the way it is.
Not when the cost of living is the way it is. So, at the end of the day, I'm going to be a counsellor. That will be my trade with XYZ on top.
Mm-hmm.
My pricing will be appropriate to a counsellor's pricing. I'm not going to be like, I'm $1,000 an hour. I just think that's a bit Like, look, if I get super famous like Oprah or Tony Robbins, then bitches, yeah, my price is going up. Until that day.
I'm retiring.
But until that day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does definitely trigger me a little bit, the whole coaching industry, how it's just gone through the pandemic. And I really hope that now we're on the back end of that things will settle.
Yeah.
There will be no lock-in contracts. You don't have to commit to a 12-month mastermind or lock-in plan. It's not what I'm about. I'm actually genuinely about helping you.
Yeah.
With the structure that I use at the moment, it will be, a 3-month journey. I don't think you can fix these problems any sooner than that.
No.
Or it could be a 6-month journey. That's pretty much where I'm looking. A 3-month, 6 months journey. We can touch base every fortnight and get you going.
Yeah, cool.
So that's where I'm thinking for now. Who knows? It might change.
So watch this space. Watch this space with intrigue. So obviously, Instagram's your primary social media at the moment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Monique_Hooper_.
Correct.
Yeah.
So follow me along there. It's you'll obviously see posing with Moni, and that's fine. My posing, for anyone that doesn't know, is getting phased. Wrapping out. Obviously, my back injury, for anyone that doesn't know, I've got a really bad back injury, and I've had to make the decision that posing is not worth it long term for me with my back. And as much as I love it, but I've come to the realization I love it because of the women I work with.
Yeah.
I love posing, but I love more the women in the journey.
But you'll always be in and around the posing anyway, because you're going to be at shows with me. You'll be,
And, I was talking to you about this morning. I know we're supposed to be wrapping up.
That's okay.
How does self-worth, body positivity align with bodybuilding? And that's a question I know I'm going to start getting a lot of, because people are going to be like, that is backwards.
How can you be a judge when, you're practicing this?
But I 100% think, and I've seen this firsthand, there is nothing more empowering than a mum of a handful of kids who's felt frumpy and not sexy and not strong for as many years as she can remember. And this gives me goosebumps saying this, but seeing her walk on stage, owning it.
Absolutely.
Knowing I'm fucking amazing.
Yep.
And so many women tell me after the show, after comp, they'll see me and they are crying because they can't believe they did it.
Yeah.
They get their photos back and they're like, I cannot believe that's me. And it's just given them a new lease on life.
Absolutely.
Whether they choose to compete again or not is irrelevant because the momentum has got them to this incredible place.
Yeah, but they've learned along the way. Yeah.
They've learned along the way. And you know what? You cannot have a successful comp prep without putting yourself first.
That's a good point.
So a lot of these women who I work with finally put themselves first.
Yeah.
Finally make themselves a priority. And you know what? Their family, 9 times out of 10, their family come along for the ride.
Absolutely.
Suddenly their kids are getting outside and playing and, all the things. Anyways, we're supposed to be wrapping up.
That's okay. There'll be plenty more podcasts to come as your career and your coaching becomes more, you launch it effectively, and we can talk about that, in greater detail down the track. So, cool. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
It's been good to finally get you on board. The paper bag jobs were certainly worth it.
That is the worst thing to say. I don't even know why you're
Bundles of
saying
cash,
that.
bags of cash.
Yeah, that sounds better than paper bags under the table.
Yeah, maybe. Especially when you worked in a prison too.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
All right. Thank you, Moni. I really appreciate it. And if you're interested in following along Moni's journey, jump on Instagram and follow her. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please screenshot and share it on all of your stories. Tag myself at Paul's Body Engineering and obviously tag Moni as well at Monique_Hooper_. I think I got that right.
Correct.
If you're interested in any of my coaching services, please jump on my website, paulsbodyengineering.com. It's such a mouthful. And as I say to every client every single day, have a great day.